Hi, my name is Neda Smith, and I help heal people from all sorts of ailments and symptoms through nutrition and supplementation. I am a holistic health coach, a metabolic typing advisor, and a functional diagnostic nutritionist. And today, I want to talk to you about the 8 biggest pitfalls when it comes to weight loss and a healthy body with boundless energy. Did you know that 97 to 98% of all people in modern society who set out to lose weight end up failing within 5 years of their starting plan? 97 to 98%. It's pretty scary, huh? And we have all seen this. Trying a new plan and watch it tapering off, or trying different things and not seeing the results we want. Well, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been on a diet? I know I have. Have you ever yo-yo dieted? I know I have. In fact, that's how I got myself into this business. Let me tell you a little about myself. I used to work in the fashion industry in New York City, and it seemed the criteria, besides knowing about trends, history, sales, was that everyone was on a diet. And I had colleagues who were on the starvation diet. They wouldn't eat anything. But to keep their energy up, they would drink coffee and soda all day long. And this is pre-energy drinks, okay? I, on the other hand, I refused to starve myself, and I chose instead to do the fad diets. I tried every diet from being on Atkins to being a vegan. Now think about that for a second. They're very extreme philosophies, but I did them all. The one thing I learned about myself during all these diets was that they all left me feeling deprived. Nothing truly satisfied me. I was constantly looking for more. Then I would get angry at myself because I did not have the power to stay on the diet, and of course would fall off the wagon. I would feel defeated, and I would get down on myself. Do you know anybody else like that? So today we're going to talk about how to not get yourself feeling deprived and into that situation, and how to stay away from these pitfalls, and how to have a healthy body with boundless energy. So the biggest pitfall for any diet or eating plan is eating wrong for your metabolic type. So you say, what is that? What does that mean? Well, just like your fingertips are unique, right, from every other human being on the planet, your metabolism is also completely unique from any other human being on the planet. There's no such thing as one balanced diet for every human being, no matter what every expert tells you. Let's look at the different cultures around the world prior to importing and exporting goods, that is. Okay? People had to rely on the foods that were grown in their region. So, for example, let's look at the Eskimos. They ate a diet that was very high in fat. I would say about 85 to 95% of their diet was protein and fat. And that was because it was really hard to grow any vegetation in the frozen tundra. In the summer, they could grow some spinach and some blueberries, but that was only 2 months out of the year, and they were one of the healthiest groups of people around. Then there was another group called the Quechuas. It was a tribe that was in South America, and their diet was very different from the Eskimos. Their diet consisted mainly of carbs, such as vegetables, fruits, and grains, and they ate a small amount of dairy and animal protein. Maybe 2 to 3 meals per week had animal protein in it. And they were also a very healthy group of people. So who's to say which diet is healthier? It's when you take the Eskimos and give them the diet of the Quechuas, or you take the Quechuas and you give them the diet of the Eskimo, that is where all the problems and symptoms start to occur. So that's really important to understand and adhere to it. And that's why it's so important to find out what your metabolic typing is. Not only will that release the excess weight you're walking around with, because you will now be feeding your body the nutrients it needs to function at its best, but it will also provide you with vibrant health. Metabolic typing is about understanding the macronutrients. It's about understanding the fats, the proteins, and the carbs, and figuring out which one runs best in your system. And by figuring that out, we are able to activate the leptin, which is the satiating hormone, and deactivate the ghrelin, which is the hunger-stimulating hormone. So we want to shut that off so we're not hungry all the time. The results are just astounding. And it's all based on science. It's been around for the past 50 years. And actually recently, Dr. Oz, Julian Michaels, and Dr. Phil have been recognizing metabolic typing and that one size does not fit all. Dr. Oz went further to say that it is important to learn how to eat right for your metabolic type because the same foods that keep your friends slim may be keeping you puffy and tired. So it's very important to understand the right quality of the fats and proteins you should be eating, as well as what are the right vegetables and carbs for you. How many of you have tried a program or a diet that your neighbor, friend, colleague, or a family member had tried and it did not work for you? And that's because you're not honoring your metabolic type. It's important to find out how your body is functioning and adhere to its needs. The second biggest pitfall when it comes to weight loss and a healthy body is cutting calories. This is one of the worst things you can do to lose fat or lose the weight. A classic nutritionist will tell you that a calorie is a calorie. They will tell you that less calories in plus the number of calories you expend out is going to equal weight loss. How many of you have heard that? Yes, we've all heard it. It's the dogma that's been told to us day after day. So I ask you, why isn't it working? It may have worked for some people, but if you look around the United States, we now have more gyms in place and everyone is constantly on a diet and people are starving themselves, but no one is really losing weight. And if they are, this is one of the reasons why they're putting it back on. Okay, this is really important to listen to what happens when you start cutting calories because it's really important. You listening? All right. The body's response to calorie restriction is to decrease the number of enzymes that burns fat. It decreases the number of enzymes that burn fat. And it increases the number of enzymes that store fat. This is just the opposite of what you're trying to achieve. So when there is calorie restriction, the body thinks there's a famine. Our bodies are still functioning in the caveman days. It's just built into us and there's nothing we can do about that. So after you restrict calories, it affects or alters your hormones, which we'll talk about in the next video, and it reduces your metabolic rate. So again, you could lose a few pounds this way, but you're turning down your metabolic rate, and as soon as you start eating again, you start storing fat like crazy. But I do have some good news. If you start eating according to your metabolic type, with high quality foods that are right for your metabolic type, there's a very small chance of you overeating. And the reason is because your body is fully nourished and then it becomes satisfied. Your body understands that there is sufficient food available, we are doing well, and the internal stresses start to go down. So stop this madness of the calorie restrictions, okay? All right. So the third biggest pitfall to weight loss in a healthy body with boundless energy is frequency of meals. When you skip your meals, it increases your insulin. And especially if you skip breakfast, your mid-morning blood glucose drops to the point where the brain is not going to function properly. So adrenaline and cortisol are stimulated to make new glucose for the brain by breaking down your muscles. We don't want to lose our muscles, which further suppresses the appetite. And that's why you hear people who skip breakfast say, I was able to go longer without eating. And adrenaline and cortisol are anti-insulin hormones. So the next time you eat, your pancreas is going to secrete even more insulin to counteract the effects of the adrenaline and cortisol, even if you eat a balanced metabolic type and diet for you. And this sets you up for overproduction of insulin, and you start having insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, syndrome X, and these are all leading causes of death in women. So this is the first part of my video series. I will release the second part tomorrow, so stay tuned. Make sure to listen to all of my videos because there's a special offer and a code that I'm going to provide you. This could just be the thing that you've been looking for. So have a fabulous day, and if you have any questions about what I've talked about so far, please do not hesitate to contact me. Email me at Neda, again Neda, at naturalneda.com, or just give me a call at 917-881-3181. Well, thank you again, and have a fabulous day.